And here's a favorite from Eddie Watkins, I am the place where God shows up.
Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone. And there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes, has His being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes, and has His being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone. There's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes, has His being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes, has His being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes, and has His being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes, and has His being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes, has His being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes, has His being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes, has His being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes, and has His being. I am the place where God shows up.
Thank you, band. That was wonderful. And welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living on this beautiful morning, Easter in the Christian tradition, and it is just a gorgeous morning here. My name is Marilyn O'Leary, and I am a practitioner, licensed practitioner here at the Rio Grande Center. Thank you for joining us today. We are so grateful for your presence, and we believe you are here by divine appointment. Assisting in service today are Annette Martinez, our tech guru. Without her, this would not be possible. On High Watch, our practitioners Teresa Greco, Julia Washington, Marge Laragoite, and Alicia Hanlon, all the way from Taos. Our invocation and benediction are offered by practitioner Carol Helms. Our talk today is delivered by a very special speaker, Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones, and our after-service Zoom fellowship meeting is being facilitated by practitioner and chaplain Carmela Herrera. Let's join together now in a reading of our vision and mission statements. Vision: transforming our world with the power of love in action. And our mission, loving all creation through spiritual growth and service, always staying true to our highest self. I now invite practitioner Carol Helms to come on screen for the invocation.
Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, musicians. Good morning, beautiful community. Good morning on this beautiful spring day, this day of special meaning in so many spiritual communities, so many churches, so many places in the world. It's an exciting day to be a part of the continuation of life. So now if you'll just sink into that heart spot with me. Rejoice in the morning, rejoice in the day. This is a day God has made, a day like no other, and a day like every other. That's the assurance that we have today and every day. Today I woke up thinking in the traditional Christian belief that it's a day of rising, of raising, being raised from the dead. And then I came into a more modern quote from a song, Rise Up, and it continued to play in my head, and it still does. And so I gave into that. And today I rise up. I rise up and say yes to all that God is, I am. I rise up and say yes to all that God is. Each of us, all of us are, without exception. I rise up and I say yes to the I am the light of the world. I rise up and say yes to the light of the world that each and all of you are. It's an amazing, amazing, brightly glowing world. It's in this place of rising up, elevated consciousness, that it occurs to me that resurrection is not a death event, it's a life event. It is life, and it happens every time we wake and even while we sleep. We live in a resurrected state. We live in a state of being able to choose the glory of living or the woe is me that it's not exactly like I thought it should be for me today. Gosh, what a blessing. I can simply flip a switch. So I invite you today to step into the rise up of this morning, into the yes, into the opportunity of this glorious day. It's in this place of elevated consciousness that I say thank you and bless you to all that it takes to put this service on this morning, to our sound and tech magicians and technicians. They're amazing, not only amazing, but gloriously spiritually invested in making sure everything that goes okay for this service. I thank you for the musicians. I thank you for the fact that their souls just start singing to us and fill us with so much hope, so much direction. We are the place God shows up. I thank you today for the message. I thank you today for the other people who are holding this service together, the high watchers, beautiful Marilyn O'Leary leading and guiding and directing the service. We all contribute. We all have our share. We all have our way of saying yes. And when we do that, life just blossoms. Just blossoms. So now we see a beautiful day, a beautiful morning. We open our hearts and our minds, open our consciousness to saying yes to God. And I ask you to join me in saying, and yes, and so it is.
Thank you, Carol. That was absolutely beautiful. And it is so appropriate that I chose the poem that I chose today for the special reading, and I did not ask you about what you were going to pray about. But anyway, I want to tell you that our spiritual reading today is the poem that I love that is especially appropriate for Easter. It's written by E. Cummings, who is often regarded as one of the most important American poets of the 20th century. He wrote about 2,900, almost 3,000 poems, 2 novels, 4 plays, and some essays. His father was a Unitarian minister, and it's said that he, E. Cummings himself, had transcendental leanings his entire life. So here's the poem. I thank you, God, for this most amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and the blue dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I who have died am alive again today, and this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of life and of love and wings and of the gay, great, happening, illimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing, any, lifted from the no of all nothing, human merely being doubt, unimaginable you. Now the ears of my ears awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are opened. And now we have some special music from the band.
And here's a special song for you if you're in need of a faith lift, a little inspiration from Ricky Byers.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the grace of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you're discouraged, trying hard to make it another day, you've got to let it all go. Let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release, I let go, I let the Spirit from my life. And my heart is wide open. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release, I let go, I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is wide open. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yeah.
Thank you, band. Only here for love. Beautiful. Well, we have a very special speaker this morning, Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones. Throughout his lifetime, Dennis Merritt Jones has been on a quest to inspire and lift people to a higher expression of life. His personal vision is to guide people to their purpose, knowing that when one fully awakes to who they are and why they are on the planet, they begin to naturally share their gift with humankind and in the process create an enriching life for themselves and for the world around them. It can seem like every person, every television show, and every ad has an idea of who we are supposed to be, especially in the middle of a pandemic. But the real question is, who does your soul ask you to be? Not just now, but every day for the rest of your life. Based on his book, Your Redefining Moments, Becoming Who You Were Born to Be, Dr. Jones says this lesson offers a roadmap back to your center where you will find your authentic self, who you were the moment you were born, but may have forgotten in the middle of the confusion going on in our world. It's from that center that you can live the life you were born for rather than the tug of war so many people get caught up in, trying to be all things to all people, trying to be anyone but who they came here to be. It is your redefining moment. Dr. Jones is an acclaimed author of a number of books, a columnist for the Huffington Post and the Science of Mind magazine, and a sought-after speaker for both business and spiritual organizations. He will be speaking to us this morning on his book, which we are studying for this quarter, titled Your Redefining Moments, Becoming Who You Were Born to Be. Dr. Jones.
Hey, my friends. Dennis Merritt Jones here. I'm really excited to be spending some time with you today. We're going to explore an idea or two that I found in my book, Your Redefining Moments, Becoming Who You Were Born to Be. And I want to tell you, this book is very near and dear to my heart because it represents an aspect of my journey to awakening to the fact that I wasn't always honoring that authentic voice, that authentic self that I came here to be. And the question that I posed to you this morning, are you honoring that authentic voice, that authentic self that you've come here to be? A lot of times we're not aware of that until we stop and look at it. And sometimes we're not even aware of it at all, period. So I wanted to present some ideas to you that you'll find in this book. The book is really about, it's a journey to our return to wholeness. It's a journey about returning home, to metaphorically to that place of our point of origin. Becoming who you were born to be, or who you were literally sent here to be, is a process of becoming aware of where you came from. Now consider that. Where did you come from? I don't mean, what town were you born in. I'm talking about, the body you were born in, and where the essence of that body came from before it took form. The book takes us on a journey back to the original self, if you will, aka God. And it's in that moment where we find our authentic self embedded, the infinite intelligence of the One literally put its fingerprint on each of us to be here to represent the One, but to do it uniquely differently, because God doesn't need two of anything exactly the same. And so that's who you were before you got to the world. And here's the issue. Who we were before we got to the world was pure essence. And the minute we slipped into this human body, this human condition, the world got a hold of us and it started slapping all kinds of labels on us. The minute we were born, the first label was human being, or gender, male, female, race, white, black, brown, yellow. And then as we grew, more and more labels began to get slapped on us. Our name, our social security number, and then body type, tall, short, fat, skinny, intelligent, dumb, smart, ugly. All the labels that begin to get slapped on us over the years, and pretty soon we define ourselves by what the world told us we were, rather than remembering who we were the moment we came here before the world got a hold of us. And so the book is about a journey back to who you were the moment you were born, before the world got a hold of you to tell you who you were. In other words, before you were a who, which represents all your accumulated labels as a human being living in this human skin on the surface of life. That's who you are, who you think you are. What we have to do is understand that before you were who, you were a what. And that's very simple, and it's kind of an abstract term at the same time. What you are was pure presence, pure essence, pure energy, and you still are that. But somehow it got lost in the who you are. And so your mission is to honor that authentic self by merging the what you are, your true essence as a spiritual being, into who you are, your human beingness on a daily basis in your daily life. And the bottom line is you came here hardwired to express your authentic nature. You came here to express life. You actually came here to express your divinity in every way, shape, and form. The reality is that energy is all there is. Energy is continually reshaping itself, taking form in different ways. It's moving through you and me right now, and it's pushing out. Ernest Holmes referred to that as the creative divine urge. That place within us that is always pushing out. If it could talk and say, I've got to be more tomorrow than I was yesterday. And the reality is that your authentic self, that divine being you came here to be, is sitting on the sideline because it's been ignored, waiting for you to invite it to the party, to lasso some of that energy that's pushing out and invite it to ascend with you to the surface of your life where you can integrate your who with your what in really powerful ways. Make no mistake about it, the energy of life, this infinite push to express, will have its way. You have no choice in that. The only choice you have is how it's going to, either proactively or reactively. By being consciously aware of that energy moving through you and aware of the authentic self you came here to be, you can direct that energy in productive ways that honor your mission here. That's what redefining moments are. Whether they're a redefining moment can be positive or it can be negative or apparently negative. It's an opportunity to stop in that moment and look deep into what's happening and to bring that divine self that lies within at your center to the surface and integrate it into what's going on in that moment, whether it's a positive, wonderful thing or whether it's a challenging moment in that time and space. To integrate your divine nature into your who on the surface of life. And to the moment you do that, at that moment you remember who you really are, and your experience of what is changes. Whether it's positive or whether it's challenging, your experience of what you're experiencing changes the minute you integrate your divine nature into that experience. Then it becomes a redefining moment because it takes on a different hue, a different intention, because you're aware that there's a part of you that's showing up to be in that moment that you weren't aware of. And so the minute you become aware that it's there, it affects how you perceive life. It affects how you perceive the moment. Probably more so, it affects how you perceive yourself. That's heavy. That's what redefining moments do. They give us a chance to repurpose our awareness of who we are and why we are in the moment. I'm going to read to you a passage out of the book. This is on page 20. That speaks to this idea of a redefining moment. I want to see if you can find an awareness of this in your own awakening. The great paradox of a true redefining moment. Regardless of how we each may interpret what a defining moment is, the practice is to remember that we're not restricted to having only one of them in our lifetime. Any moment can be a redefining moment because within it lies the opportunity to be changed by what we see and experience, that which can indelibly etch an imprint of who we see ourselves to be on our hearts and minds that shapes the life before us. In those moments, we have the opportunity to metaphorically drill into the deepest core of our being and bear witness to what lies within, remembering that those moments will not add anything to us, but reveal something within us. It's not about discovering anything. It's a moment of unearthing that which is already there and always has been there, the original self. So our redefining moments are moments in our lives where we have an awakening in that moment. And that's the key. You have to be present in the moment to experience it. That there's more to who you are than the experience you're having. For an example, I share this in the book. The day that I was in the delivery room with my receiving my child in my hands. The doctor delivered the baby and put my daughter in my arms. And I was looking into those deep brown pools of eyes and looking into her soul. And at that moment, I had that awakening, an awareness that, wow, this precious being just came from another dimension and slipped into this human skin and entrusted itself to my care, to my stewardship. And that was a redefining moment for me because it helped me realign to who I was and why I was. I wasn't here just to suck air and to have a job. I was here to be a steward of this amazing gift that was in my arms. That was a redefining moment. Another redefining moment for me was the day that I sat by my dad's bedside as he was passing. And that was a redefining moment because in that moment I had to pause, take a deep breath, and clarify what my role in that moment was. To be a son, a minister, to be what the awakening was for me was that I just needed to be there and to be authentic, to be real. That's a redefining moment because that self within that's bigger than me ascended from within and it took over. It knew what to say, what to do. That's a redefining moment. We all have them. Here, that's the point. We have redefining moments every day of our lives, but a lot of the time we miss them because we're not awake. We're not aware. We're not awake. We're not aware. It's a process of consciously merging our being with our doing. And this requires both mindfulness and awareness. Mindfulness and awareness. Remember, mindfulness is your ability to be present in the moment. And awareness is your ability to focus on what is in the present moment. I'm going to pull up on the screen a chart of that you'll find in the book, and it's a chart that helps illustrate the difference between being and doing. You'll see there's a horizontal line at the top, and that horizontal line represents our doing. Our human nature, what we do on a daily basis. And there's a timeline, the past, the present moment, and the future. And that's how our body lives. And it's do, past, present, and future. So we're always on the surface of life in that manner. However, our vertical being, which is where the self dwells, is always in the present moment. It cannot be any place other than the present moment. And so this circle in the middle, this yellow circle, represents where we have to be in consciousness at the present moment. We have to be present in the moment, and at that moment, engaging our doing with our being, the authentic self rises from within and integrates in that moment of our experience and becomes part of the experience. Awakening to who we have come here to be is a process of integrating our being with our doing. And it's not a part-time thing. That's the issue. It's not a part-time thing. Now here's the problem. Tell me if you wouldn't agree with that. Sometimes being authentic, to allow that authentic self that knows why it's here, that has embedded itself within us, waiting for us to bring it forward. Sometimes bringing that authentic voice to the surface is challenging. And here's the problem. Rocking the boat is a prerequisite. We have to be willing to rock the boat. And I know you all know what I mean by that. When we rock the boat, that means that we are doing or saying something that is going to ruffle somebody's feathers. Too often, the reason that our authentic voice gets stifled is we're living up to somebody else's idea of who we should be. And the moment that we begin to live from the authentic self, that self ascends from within, that authentic, you'll discover that when you become aware that you're becoming an expression, a vessel through which this authentic self expresses, you realize that authentic voice, being who you really are, disturbs a lot of people. They don't like that. They don't like that at all because you're not being who they think you should be. Have you ever been criticized by others for not conforming to their idea of who you should be? My gosh, there's tons of that going on right now on the planet. I bet you could probably find a few places in your own life where you have bumped heads with people who thought you should be or do something differently than what you're doing or being. So we have to be willing to rock the boat and to incur the disapproval of certain others that we're so addicted to having that approval and that love. That's one of the costs of being authentic and bringing that authentic voice to the surface of life, is we have to realize that in the process of being who we are, it may disappoint other people, and we have to be able to live with that. And that's a challenge. And yet at the same time, if we believe in the law of attraction, if people come and go in our lives, those that go must attract something or someone different that more honors who we are, who we realize ourselves to be in that present moment. So here's the question for you. What or who defines you? Think about that just for a minute. How do you define yourself? Do you define yourself by your body? You know, tall, short? If I was to ask you to describe yourself right now, literally, I know probably some of us out there go, well, I'm a divine being, have a human experience. But think about on a daily basis how you really define yourself. Well, you define yourself as maybe a person living in a body that is achy or old or young or tall or short. Maybe you define yourself by how much money you have in your bank account or your wallet, what kind of car you drive. Maybe you define yourself by your reputation in the world. Those are all things that happen in the plane of who you are, the labels that you wear on the daily journey through the surface of life. But the question you have to ask yourself is that who you really are, or is that what you do with who you are? Yeah. Or is that what you do with what you are? You know, do you define yourself from the outside in or the inside out? I know the old saying, well, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. That's true. In every given moment, you're defining yourself by your thoughts, beliefs, deeds, and actions. And if you find yourself zooming along on the surface of life without having the opportunity to stop and pause and take a look at some of the instances that are rising up in your life that are offering you an opportunity to redefine yourself, and you're passing right by them because you're too busy, you know, or you're maybe the opportunities are too painful. It's easy to bypass opportunities that are uncomfortable, and yet that's where the growth is. That's where the fertilizer in life that causes growth is sometimes. So here's the point. In order for us to integrate our being with our doing, we have to be self-aware. And I've talked about this, I know, with a number of talks before with you and other friends, is that self-awareness is key to being who we've come here to be. It's a key to living a life of purpose and meaning. I've shared in the past the miracle, the three miracles, and I'll share it again real quick because it really is a great illustration of what I'm talking about. The three miracles are, you know, life itself, that anything exists is a miracle. The fact that anything exists is a miracle. The second miracle is that living things exist. Puppy dogs, trees, grass, palm trees, living things exist that have that life force pushing through them. That's a miracle. And the third miracle is the most profound one, and that's that living things exist that know they exist. That's you. That's me. And when we become conscious and aware that we know that we exist, that is the moment when we can identify these redefining moments, these instances that pop up in our lives, and stop and pause and dive into it and bring that authentic self up from the center into the surface and integrate it in that moment and see what role it plays. Oh, was it Ernest Holmes said, what you're looking for, you're looking with. You realize how amazing it is that you can think a thought or have a feeling and then step outside of that thought or that feeling and analyze it, look at it, poke it, feel it, prod it, and challenge it if it doesn't work for you. Yeah. Beginning to remember the source from which you came, and you're still one, is where it starts. Beginning to remember where you are. So becoming who you were born to be is the gift that you're bringing the world, whether you realize it or not. When you become your authentic self, at the moment you were born, the infinite imbued some gifts, talents, and unique expression in you that no other human being on the planet can deliver. God doesn't need two of anything exactly the same. Yes, God loves, the universe loves multiplicity, numbers of things, but uniqueness. There's no two things that are created exactly the same. Get that. Take a breath and embrace that. You're unique, and you have a gift to bring the world. And until you do it, you will not find wholeness and satisfaction in your life, peace. And yet, until you do it, you'll also not realize your full potential. So, every day, 24/7, I'm talking about living that, integrating that being with your doing 24/7. It's not a part-time job. There's not one moment in your day where redefining moments are not offering themselves to you. But you have to be awake and willing and aware enough to stop, take that vertical plunge, dive in, embrace that authentic self that's waiting there for you to bring it to the surface, and find a way to use that authentic self in that moment to integrate it into your being nature, your doing nature, and see how it changes your experience of what is. Now, there's a lot of points in this book that I don't have time to cover today about the road signs that give you indication of when a redefining moment is coming, and then the 10 essential inherent qualities of the authentic self. Those are things that I don't have time to talk to you now about, but I would encourage you to explore that, to look at, if you're aware of what to look for, your authentic self is always trying to pop its head up. And if you're aware of the instances when that's making itself available to you, you'd be more likely to let it do so. Yeah. Ernest Holmes said it. I guess he said it beautifully, so articulately, so many different times. But one of his greatest statements, I think, is he wrote, "When deep calls upon deep, deep responds." Take a breath. When deep calls upon deep, deep responds. And the fact that you're here on this planet, the deep is calling on you. It's why you're here. To be an infinite, unique expression of that one. There's a place within you that knows there is more of the real you to be uniquely expressed by means of you. That is the authentic self urging you, nudging you, calling you, the authentic self, to allow it to ascend from within you and find a way to integrate it into your daily lives. It'll change the hue and the tenor of every experience you have when you find your authentic voice and you live within it and you express it. It will change your experience of life. And so I guess the point is this. The universe is calling, and the universe is listening to your response to that call. The question is, are you listening to that call, that divine urge? You'll notice it. It's that infinite divine itch that needs to be scratched. It's saying there's more for you to know, more for you to be, more for you to do, and you'll never achieve it until you give yourself permission to bring that authentic voice, becoming who you were born to be, to the surface of your life and living it. That means letting go of other people, need for other people's approval or love, and knowing that in the process of that and many other intricate factors, you set yourself free to be who you were born to be. That's the truth. Take a breath, embrace it, love it in this moment, enjoy yourself, enjoy this day, and know that you are a gift to this planet. You are a gift and you matter. And even more so, what you do with who you are matters. Peace.
That was so wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Jones. Let's have a spiritual mind treatment now. Please close your eyes and go to that deep place that Dr. Jones called us to. And know that we are one with Divine Spirit. We are one with our source. We are one with divine energy. In that oneness is power, is music, is art, is love, is beauty, is abundance, is health, is guidance. In that one is all that we want. And so knowing that, we also know that we are one with each other. We are one. We are of that spirit. That spirit acts in and through us. And the answer to the question of who we have come here to be is in our connection with spirit. And so I declare that in this wonderful opportunity of possibilities, in this time of spring, of new birth, in this time of transition and transformation for this community, what is calling upon us is source for each one of us to be all we can be, for our wonderful community of the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living to be all it can be, to reach, to vision, to know that all is good. And I bless every single person here who participates in this, knowing I am one, we are one. And I give thanks. I give thanks to all who join in this divine journey of unique expression of spirit. I give thanks for the Rio Grande Center for this teaching. I give thanks for all who come here and for all they come for, knowing that it is given. I give thanks for the health that is experienced and manifested. I give thanks for abundance. I give thanks for all of it. I give thanks knowing that what we are here for is what we receive. And so I release my prayer now to the universe, to spirit, with confidence, knowing that my prayer always comes back with the only answer that spirit gives, which is yes, 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 and yes. And so knowing that yes is there, that yes is in the air, that yes is for me, please say with me, and so it is. And now we have our sharing of abundance. There are multiple ways to give. Let me see, did I forget a song? No. Thanks. There are multiple ways to give to the Rio Grande Center. And if you look across the bottom of your screen, these ways are scrolling now. Thank you for all you can share, and know that we are blessed by our blessing and we receive according to what we give. So please say the giving affirmation with me. Affirmation of abundance. I am abundant and I give from my abundance. I am prosperous and I give from my prosperity. I am blessed and I give from my blessings. My blessings of spirit are as abundant as the stars. And so I give and receive generously, and so it is. And now we have another song from the band.
Here's a favorite of mine from Jamie Lula. It's an amazing call to action to really listen. It's called Something's Calling Me.
Something's calling me. Something's calling me. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Feels like I'm walking on marble. Can't feel the earth beneath my feet. naked legs left dangling. I can feel my heart begin to pound, 'cause something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Long dark night, my soul it wanders. Can't see the light that moves me. If God is everything and everywhere that I belong, spiritually wake me from my sleep, 'cause something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Draw me deeper than I've ever been before. Deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, oh Lord, pull me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, I give my life, I give my life to you, 'cause something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Love is calling me. Yeah. My faith is calling me. Spirit's calling. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before.
What a beautiful song. That just took my breath away. And how appropriate. Something's calling me deeper than it's ever called me before. Thank you. Now, please help me bless these offerings, everything that people have given. O divine giver of life, we gratefully accept these and all your gifts on behalf of our congregation and its work. May the gift return to the giver thousandfold. And so it is. And now I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Norm Dawson for our announcements. Dr. Norm.
You'll be the grandest lady in the Easter parade.
Well, some of you might remember that song, and I'm wearing my Easter bonnet to, stay in the tradition. So we don't have a parade to go to, so I thought at least I'd wear my bonnet here. Hey, thanks for joining me for an announcement of upcoming possibilities. If you have an announcement that you'd like to put into the bulletin or to be broadcast here on the weekly program, be sure to send that to the center at announcements@rgcsl.org to get your announcements in. All the announcements I'm talking about today will be available or are already available in the digital bulletin and on the website. So let's take a look at the books that are available in print and e-version. Or Dr. Jones, boy, that was an amazing message this morning. I really appreciated that. And you can get all that information, or not all the information, but you can find out about Redefining Your Moments by Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones. And this is obviously for your intellectual pleasure and meditative heart space. There's also a bonus book for meditation and contemplation pleasure called Transitions by Julia Cameron. You get both of these books on Amazon Smile, and if you subscribe to Amazon Smile, then part of that contribution for your purchase will come back to the center. So be sure you get your books through Amazon Smile. The Monday morning midday meditation is now because it's in April, so it's AM Monday, and now it's a noon Zoom. What a way to remember that, noon Zoom. So be sure you get your meditation from Gwyneth Welch, and she'll be leading that. Also, we are continuing with the yoga classes, and they're also Zoom yoga classes, and those are times and dates are available in the bulletin and the newsletter as well. Okay, Marilyn O'Leary is still going to have the discussion and journaling group called Me and White Supremacy. This is a group discussion for white people to read. White people have a tendency to have a lot of unintentional biases, and this is an opportunity for people to discuss this. And this is going to be a discussion group for about 6 weeks, starting Tuesdays in April from 3 to 4:30. That's a Zoom class, and that's going to be $60. You can register for that and get more information through the center or on the bulletin. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to skip down here. Okay, so the transition update on the minister search. The committee has put together some information so prospective ministers can find out about what Albuquerque's like, the weather, the demographics, and also the RGCSL itself. So that is going to be put together and published so that these ministers, future ministers, can find out who we are, why would they want to live here, and what we're all about. We have a program here called Compassion Ministries Resource Center. You may know or be somebody who is, depressed or down, or you might know somebody who needs some help, a colleague, a family member. And there's a couple of ways that you can get help for those feelings and those challenges that you're experiencing, or somebody that you know is experiencing. The state has an access line, and I'll give you the numbers, but you can always go to the information later on. But it's 855-662-7474 anytime for immediate support in whatever time you need that. Also, the Compassion Ministries has a team of chaplains. We have Tilia Huron and Carmela Herrera, and their numbers are available also on the bulletin and at the website. So check those out if you need some help or you know somebody who does. And lastly, we have the Bright Ideas Share program. And this week's Bright Idea comes from Annie Reluzco, Reluzco. And she's got a session or a book that she's using called Energy Codes, and it's about alignment with our higher self. So she says that if you are feeling a little bit stressed, disconnected, isolated from the impact of all this social distancing that we have to go through here, she can help you reconnect in a session that she offers at the center in the practitioner room. It's $20 a session, and part of the proceeds will come back to the center. So be sure you contact the office, and she'll be able to help you. Also, remember that right after this service is over, we're going to go to a Zoom room, and you'll be able to share ideas and fellowship. So until next week, I'll see you on Sunday morning announcements.
Thank you, Dr. Norm. And now Carol Helms will conclude our service with a benediction.
Oh, what a morning. What a beautiful service. What a great day to be alive and to say yes to the universe. And if that didn't happen for you, check. You might not have awakened this morning. So good morning, beautiful community. Good morning to yes. Good morning to the message. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful that something is indeed calling me every day, not just once in a while, but every day. I'm so grateful that something is calling each of us every day. Every day we have a choice. Every single minute of every day. I'm just going to sit here and love that that is a state of being that we all have, we all can enjoy. I bless this service today. I bless the way it's going to reach into the world. I bless the way that something is calling each and all of us, the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living, and that as individuals and our collective oneness, we say yes. Yes to whatever that is and to whatever dimension of it we can each bring. Very uniquely our own. So blessed this morning. So blessed for those who've tuned in to listen to us, those who have maybe not heard us before, who we are. What a beautiful day for you to get an introduction to Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. I thank the musicians. I thank everyone who blessed this service. I'm so thankful for those who are out there and have to just feel the vibration. They can't hear us, maybe can't see us because they're not connected electronically, but we are connected. And so I know in our oneness that we are all blessed. Right now, I particularly bless those who have special prayer requests, who have special health conditions, who have concerns. Lift them up, bless them. I know that each are held in the hands of the divine. I especially bless our beloved Tammy's father, Curtis, knowing that all is unfolding in perfection and in divine right order. And that is such a blessing. And I know that some of our beloved community have tagged our compassionate ministries and the prayer chain that goes on. The power of that is phenomenal. And it's a blessing. It's just a blessing, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the message today. Just powerfully bringing all of us back to our roots and to all those crossroads in life where we get to make choices. And so I bless this day. I bless this time together. I bless all that we are and all that we will be as we continue through this day and each one that unfolds before us. And so join me right now in rejoicing the fact that this is a day God has made, and we have the ability to rejoice in it. And I say, and so it is.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blue for me and you, and I think to myself,